If you've ever opened your vibe coding workspace, typed a prompt, and watched the AI build something impressive in seconds, you probably had the same thought everyone else has. This changes everything. And for a moment, it feels like it does. You give it one long, hopefully well thought out prompt, and it goes to work. And amazingly, a finished app emerges from nothing. You feel godlike. Let there be an app. And in 15 minutes, you rest. It feels like you're commanding software with language. But then something strange starts happening. You ask for one small change, and the AI, trying to be helpful, changes three other things you didn't ask for. You fix one bug, and a different pattern appears somewhere else. You keep prompting and hoping the code gets more solid, but it starts getting harder to trust because you're not sure what else it might have changed. That's the moment most people misunderstand what's happening. They think the problem is that they're not prompting well enough. But that's not the real problem. The problem is that the AI is not behaving like a normal computer with a predictable output. That's because it's a type of intelligence. Artificial, yes, but it is an intelligence. And if you think of your workspace as a training environment, then the AI becomes like a student in your classroom setting. And once you see that, vibe coding starts making a whole lot more sense. Here's the shift that changed everything for me. Not from vibe coder to engineer, from vibe coder to teacher. Because a lot of people try this once, get excited once, hit a wall, and quietly decide, maybe I'm not cut out for this. But that's usually not true. When you open your vibe coding workspace, you're not just activating a tool. You're stepping into a relationship with a system that can generate, interpret, improvise, and assume. It's more like a brilliant student walking into your classroom than a machine waiting for a button press. That student may be fast. That student may be talented. That student may produce something impressive almost immediately. And that's exactly why this can feel so confusing. Because the first result can make you feel powerful, like you skipped the hard part, like software just became conversational. Then you try to change something, refactor something, extend something, and suddenly the whole thing starts slipping. Now you're not just frustrated with the app, you're frustrated with yourself. You start wondering, did I do something wrong? Am I not technical enough for this? Was the first result just luck? But the real issue is usually much simpler. The AI had too much room to decide, too much room to interpret, too many paths it could take without your permission. If you say, build me something good, you may get something that looks impressive. But you're also leaving the model to decide what good means, what trade-offs matter, and what pattern to use, and what should stay stable as the project evolves. That's not a small instruction problem. That's something missing in your classroom. So if one-shot prompting gave you something exciting at first and then something fragile later, that's not proof that you can't do AI-augmented coding. It's proof that one-shot coding, no matter how detailed, is not the same as structure for AI intelligence. The shift is this. Your value is not in asking, your value is in shaping the environment the AI works inside. That's why I don't think the future belongs only to traditional coders. It belongs to people who can create clarity, boundaries, and direction for the AI. In other words, people who can teach intelligence, AI or humans. Number one is the rules of the classroom. First, every classroom has rules. What's allowed? What's off limits? What standards matter? What does good work look like here? In your workspace, that means things like which tools are allowed, which design patterns should be used, what should never be changed without approval, and what structures the AI is expected to follow. This is important because the more options the AI has, the more ways it can wander. The fewer paths you leave open, the more predictable the output becomes. Number two, you have to have a lesson plan. A good teacher does not invent the whole class from scratch every day. They use repeatable ways of teaching. The same thing applies to good vibe coding. If the AI is debugging, there should be a way it debugs in your workspace. If it's building UI, there should be a way it builds UI in your workspace. If it's refactoring code, there should be a way it handles refactoring in your workspace. This is where most vibe coders get stuck. They use prompt after prompt after prompt, thinking more conversation will create more reliability. But each prompt sends the AI down a slightly different path. 3 different prompts can produce 3 slightly different results. At first, those differences seem small. Then they stack up. That's why multiple prompts are not reliable by themselves. Without a lesson plan, the AI is improvising every time. And number 3, the grading rubric. In a classroom, students do better when they know how their work will be judged. Does it need evidence? Does it need structure? What makes it an A instead of a C? The AI needs the same thing. In your workspace, this means test, review criteria, design checks, and clear standards for what counts as acceptable output. Without that, you're not really guiding the AI. You're just hoping the result is good. And hope is not a software money-making strategy. This is why I don't think vibe coders are at a disadvantage just because they don't come from the traditional coding backgrounds. The skill that matters most in this new era is not only syntax, it is learning how to design the workspace the AI enters. Can you create boundaries? Can you narrow the assignment? Can you reduce the number of possible paths? Can you define what good output looks like? That's a real skill. And it's becoming one of the most important skills in AI-assisted software development, what most people now call vibe coding. And honestly, this is why educators may be better prepared for this era than they realize. Teachers already know how to do this. They know how to create environments for learning and performance. They know how to guide work without doing the work for the students. They know how to design rules, assignments, and rubrics. That's not separate from AI building. That is AI building. So here's the big idea. When you open a vibe coding workspace, don't think of it like turning on a calculator. Think of it like opening a classroom. The AI is entering your workspace. Your workspace is the classroom. And the quality of the result depends on how well that classroom is designed. That means your job is not just to prompt better. Your job is to create the environment that surrounds the model. Clear rules, structured assignments, rubrics for success, fewer possible paths, better outcomes. And there's another benefit that I discovered. When the AI has fewer possible paths to explore, it spends less time searching, less time reasoning, and less time wandering through the wrong parts of your code base. That means it often uses fewer tokens, less compute, and less money to get to a useful result. In other words, reducing the decision space doesn't just improve reliability, it can also reduce the cost of building the product. That's how you stop ending up with bloated, unreliable code that keeps breaking, keeps getting refactored, and becomes harder to understand every time the AI touches it. I'm the agent teacher. I do not code software. I teach AI how to build it. Thank you for watching.